watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I am talking about watches. Now, I'd watched quite a few reviews about the Benyar watch brand and seen a little bit of a negative reaction to them. Partly because of their overall build quality, but also because they had claimed that the materials that you're using in their watches wasn't quite true. They were saying that the cases were stainless steel, but they were actually an alloy. And I thought perhaps that this watch brand is something to avoid, but I also wanted to see what they were like for myself, especially since they were quite an affordable watch and, well, they had some interesting watches on offer. Me thinking about this watch brand also sort of coincided with me thinking about wanting to own an affordable homage to the Rolex Explorer. Now, obviously, this being such a cheap, affordable watch, it's not going to be anywhere near as good as a Rolex, but it does certainly look a lot like it, and it might give me that little bit of a feel of this Explorer watch. So when this particular model came up on sale on AliExpress, I thought I'd grab hold of it and see what it's actually like in real life, and see whether I do like this homage style watch, as well as see what the quality of the Benyar brand is. And now I've owned it for quite a while, I've tried to get on wrist a fair bit to get a bit of an understanding of how the watch is, how it feels, how it looks, and how it runs. And I've now got enough information that I can do the full review. Alright, flip the camera around and let me show you this watch. So this is the Benyar BY5177, which I picked up whilst it was on special from AliExpress for 49 Australian dollars, but it's currently selling for around about 76 Australian dollars whilst it's not on special. Comes with this rather simple packaging. It's a cardboard box, but it has this sort of snake skin on it. Inside we do have a polishing cloth, we have a hang tag, we have a guarantee card, not signed of course. We have a very simple operation guide lines, manual, whatever. And we've got our watch on this fairly simple interior, which I think actually works quite well. It's all you really need out of these affordable watches. Now, I bought the black dial variant of this watch. There are a couple of other options. You can get one that comes in a blue dial and also a white dial. Now, the dimensions of this watch do not match in with the watch that it is homaging. This one here is 41.3 millimeters in case dimension. It is 13.5 millimeters thick. It has a lug to lug of 49.9 millimeters, and it has a slightly annoying 21 millimeter lug width. And the weight, when sized to my 6 3/4 inch wrist on this particular bracelet that it comes with, is 135 grams. This one comes with the black dial. It has a printed minute track around the edge. It has a applied triangle at the 12 o'clock. It has applied numbers at the 3, 6 and 9. And it has applied buttons on all the other hour markers. You can see underneath the hands there is the Benyar logo, the name Benyar, automatic, water resistant, 50 meters, 165 feet. They are all printed on in white. Now, it does have the classic handset that you'd expect with that Mercedes hour hand and a very simple minute hand and that lollipop on the second. It's all covered with this flat piece of mineral crystal. Overall, the dial looks quite good. As you can see, it's quite neat and tidy, but none of that's coming from Benyar really. It's just coming from the watch that it is homaging. Now, this is where this video starts going downhill a little bit. I don't like being too negative about watches, but if you are considering buying this one, I do want to be open and honest with you. Overall, for 50 Australian dollars, which is what I paid for it, it's actually okay. It does what it needs to do, certainly tells the time. The finishing is fairly simple, but for 50 Australian dollars, I'm not expecting too many miracles from this one. But the case is made of some sort of alloy, which is covered in this sort of electroplate or whatever the material is that they add to it, and it comes across all like a polished stainless steel, but obviously it's not stainless steel. It is also quite noticeably chunky. It's quite a thick watch. It feels thick on the wrist, it feels thick when you're holding it, it feels quite chunky. The crown's relatively neat and tidy, it's not screw down, it does have hand winding, and you may hear that very loud movement, and I'll move it up to the microphones just in case you don't hear it. This is one of the main issues with this watch. Let's flip around and have a look at it. This is one of those sort of no-name Chinese movements. It's not particularly fantastic. I guess we can't expect too much at this price point, but when you hear that, And trust me, you can feel it as well. You can feel that noise as you turn the crown. When you do pull the crown out, you can see it does not have hacking either. Obviously, just being a three-hander, it doesn't have a ghost position. And you can see even as I move it around, it affects that second hand a little bit. So it's not ideal. The watch does come with a little bit of loom. There's loom on the hands, both the hour Mercedes hands and that pencil minute hand, and inside that little loom lollipop on the second dial. But let's talk about this bracelet. This is a solid stainless steel bracelet, which sounds quite good when you think about that, but there's some distinct problems with it. Firstly, these are hollow end links, and because it is actually stainless steel, the colour doesn't match in with this alloy case. That's probably one of the first issues. It's also not the best made stainless steel bracelet. It does feel a little bit thin and cheap. It has push pins. It does have a brushed surface to it. And if you look at the angle just like that in isolation away from the watch, it actually doesn't look too bad. This is probably one of the better angles of this watch, which is a little bit of a worry. The clasp, which you can see here, it's pressed steel, and it has one of these little interesting mini clasps. So it doesn't have any micro adjusts. It does actually look quite neat when you close it up. It does have the Benyar logo stamped in there. Now let's, just for a little bit of a laugh, stick this on the time grapher and see how this movement, yep, that's not going away. Let's see how this movement performs. Now the figures we've actually got here are not too bad. As you can see, it runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour. The beat error is not too bad. It has a very good healthy amplitude, but it's running around about -8 to -10 seconds a day. But as you can see, as it runs through, that line is changing quite a lot. You really want to see some consistent line across the screen. And here it is on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. It's relatively comfortable, especially the bracelet. It tapers down a little bit so it feels quite comfortable, but the watch head itself feels quite big and chunky. That big face on the side of the case, you really feel it. You can really see it sitting up a little bit high on either end. Looking straight down, it doesn't look too bad, but I'm not overly impressed by it. But let's flip back to me now. I'm going to give you some more thoughts on this particular watch. So for about 50 Australian dollars, a watch that comes with a solid stainless steel metal bracelet, you probably can't ask for more than what I actually got in this watch. And there are definitely a few positives to it. It certainly looks quite good on wrist, especially from a little bit of a distance. It has a quite nice feel and nice weight to it, but it's let down by the quality of the materials that are used, and especially the movement that they put inside this watch. That winding motion really feels loud, really feels gritty. But let's finish this video on a positive, shall we? I don't like to be too down on any watch. It does what it says it's going to do. It does tell the time, and hey, it does fit and feel quite nice on the wrist. Certainly from a distance, it looks okay. And the big bonus, it didn't cost a lot of money. And hey, that's not too bad then, is it? Alright, let's finish the video up now, and I hope to see you again soon.